of what that this is our reality, and I think we're seeing it on multiple fronts right now. Obviously, these protests and the loss of human life, but also in our health outcomes of what populations are disproportionately affected by COVID-19. And so, I think it's hard on so many levels. Yeah, and to completely change the subject, I also wanted to let folks know that there is a new art call currently that the art committee put out, which is to paint some traffic signal boxes, and that can be found at the city website. So thanks.
Ms. Becerra.
Thank you, Mayor, for your comments and communications. It's been a very difficult week, but for our Black brothers and sisters, it's been a difficult couple hundred years. I have shared some of my thoughts with you and some of my friends, but I just wanted to share them with everyone. I had never considered myself a minority until I moved to this country. I adopted and embraced this country with all its wonderful qualities and with its flaws. So when I check the box under Hispanic, I do it happily because I truly appreciate living in a diverse country. My lighter skin color and my now more polished accent and the places that I have chosen to live in have afforded me opportunities that not many other minorities can enjoy. But, had my parents been darker skin color humans, I might be telling you a very different story. Last Friday, I attended the rally at the courthouse in solidarity with our Black members of the community and the country. I felt many feelings: sad, angry, hopeless, hopeful, inspired, and mostly inspired to be a catalyst for change. That change for me includes educating myself more on the history of systematic racism in this country. It also means being intentionally inclusive in my actions in and outside of this body. I believe we need to have a community-wide conversation about this topic. I think we need to create venues for improving inclusion of our minority groups in Missoula. And I want to leave you all with some words by Martin Luther King. Every society has its protectors of status quo and its fraternities of the indifferent who are notorious for sleeping through revolutions. Today, our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake, to adjust to new ideas, to remain vigilant, and to face the challenge of change. So I hope that all of us, that all of you join me in making those changes in order to be more inclusive, to be intentionally inclusive. Thank you.
Ms. Vasika.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Much of what I wanted to say has already been said, but I did want to reiterate that there's voting that's currently going on. No longer can you mail your ballot, so be sure to drop it off. There will be no drop-off locations at the elections office, from what I understand. So go to the fairgrounds, Bonner School, Frenchtown Fire Station, Lolo Elementary School, and Sealy Lake Elementary School for ballot locations. They need to be delivered by 8 p.m. Tomorrow. And that is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Rabine. I'm told, Ms. Marion tells us that the echo is gone. So whatever these settings are, let's never change them. Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for the thoughtful comments of so many of my colleagues and other community leaders that have been expressed throughout the last few days. I know that I myself have struggled trying to put all of this into words, recognizing the privileged position that I have in the community and the circumstances of which I was born into. So I have looked around and seen so many of the images over the last several days and seen the pain, the heartache, and the frustration of tens of thousands of Americans. And I have shared in that same level of frustration, or I have shared with that frustration, heartache, and seen and witnessed the pain. It breaks my heart that the American experiment is failing so many of our fellow Americans. I believe that's what America is. It's an experiment. Almost 244 years ago, when the words, "Behold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal," they were endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When these words were written, America was a crazy idea. It was a set of promises and values that we could all come together and we could live and govern in a certain way. Yet for so many Americans, still 244 years later, these words are just a bunch of meaningless words written on a very old piece of paper. And until these values and the American promise is fully realized by each and every person in this country, we still have a lot of work to do. And I am committed to doing that work. And I know that you all, along with me, are committed to doing that as well. So I will look forward to joining our fellow community members on Friday at 5:30 at the courthouse. And I thank you all for your thoughtfulness and words and commitment to leadership. And I also want to wish Miss Cheryl a happy birthday. Today is her birthday, and I wish her many more trips around the sun. Thank you all.
Thank you all. We have no committee reports this evening, nor do we have any new business. Are there any additional items to be referred? Mr. Hess.
Thanks. I just want to highlight on the agenda, and I apologize, I have to navigate back to it here, that it's not an additional item to be referred, but there is an item in the Land Use and Planning Committee that is the RMB minor subdivision. And this is a minor subdivision, and so per the state statute, there's only 35 days for us to deal with this item from staff consideration and staff report through to committee report and public hearing. And so next week we will have a public hearing, but it will be in the style of it'll be a public hearing that is only open that night because we won't have the ability to leave it open for the full period of time. So I just wanted to highlight it. It's in Ward 2. It's an area that we've seen before through annexation. If anyone wants to take a look at that, it's attached to the agenda, and we can receive comment in all the ways that have been outlined previously.
Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Mr. Hess.
I just want to quickly note that Marty had sent us all a note saying, can we please ratify the consent agenda? So it must have been during the inaudible period of time. And that is in the chat box, Mr. Mayor.
We can, in an abundance of caution, do that. So ladies and gentlemen, in an effort to ensure that the echo did not preclude anyone from calling in and commenting or witnessing our actions, would you all please, I will actually, Marty, you can take the roll now, I believe. So I would entertain a motion to ratify council's previous action. That's all votes, yay and nay, on the consent agenda as divided. So basically, you're all acknowledging what we did before. Everybody understand that? All right, Ms. Rabine will call the roll.
Thank you. Anderson.
Yes.
Becerra.
Yes.
Contos.
Yes.
Hart. Not here. Hess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes.
Cheryl. Yes. Vasika,
Yes.
Von Lossberg,
Yes.
and West.
Yes.
And we separated item 5.5 out. Was the roll call different on that item?
I'm sorry, Marty, what?
We separated item 5.5, correct?
Doesn't matter. They're ratifying our previous action.
Ratifying their previous vote. Gotcha. Thank you.
Seeing no additional items to be referred nor any miscellaneous communications, petitions, reports, or announcements, and why wouldn't my dog start barking now to sort of cap off this evening? I will adjourn, and we will try this again next week. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your patience. Folks at home, I apologize once again. We will be adjourned.
All right.